I got a 150-foot row of Rose of Sharons over there. Great for attracting pollinators to the yard. I also have various Rose of Sharon bushes scattered throughout my property. And they've gotten a little bit wild, so it's time to prune them. These guys here are not too bad, but this is going to be a good spot to show you how I'm going to prune these. The easiest way to do any shrub like this is to go in here first, find anything that's dead or diseased, and get rid of that. Make sure you're working on these when they're dormant too, so you don't hurt the plants. If we go in here, you'll notice this is dead. I can tell because it just snaps right off. The rest of it's good, so we're not taking the whole thing out, but I am going to give this a chop right there to get it out. For a little dead one off a main leader, chop them out. So this is an older leader I got here. Not doing too good. This is also what I like to call a double whammy, because as well as the dead growth, we want anything that crosses and touches, we want to get rid of those too. So this one has lived its life. Time for it to go. It's in the middle of this thing. It's getting shaded out. I have to bust out the big guns for this one to get her out. Got another one right here. This doesn't look too hot. Stem comes up here. Looks bad there, but has this really nice leader coming off the top of it that goes straight up. I want to keep this leader, but I don't like the rest of this. So I'm going to chop all this stuff up and leave this one. It doesn't look too pretty, but this is some good growth right here. Very similar to this one here, where it doesn't look good, but it's got a nice, perfectly straight vertical leader on it. Busted this guy off, another dead piece coming off that. Nice leader right here, but it seems to die right there as it goes straight up. That was the main leader. But this one here, I'm going to make that my new leader. So we're going to abandon this, and we're just going to give it a chop right above this leader. Now, if you decided you only wanted this bush to be 2 foot high, and you made a cut right here, you're going to have a bad time, because it's going to take a long time for any of these to start shooting out the sides and growing vertical again. When we're doing cutting, we want to pay attention to these side shoots. We're going to be using these a lot as a reference to where we're going to cut this bush. A good example of this is if I follow this up, I have this first side shoot right here. If I cut this right above that side shoot, this will become the new shoot of this plant and keep growing vertically. So we'd be okay. Keep that in mind and you're going to be all right. Second step is going to be branches that cross and branches that grow inwards. Here's a little guy as an example. So this one here, it's kind of growing in a little bit. And if you keep following it up, you notice it kind of goes up at an angle and it's touching these other branches. Like I explained earlier, we want to leave some of this growth from the main leader here. This one's growing nice. It's growing outwards. But the one that's growing inwards and starting to touch these other branches, we're going to get that one out. Same deal right here. We got 2 branches that touch each other and cross. This is some newer growth from the center of this shrub. I think that's mostly going to get shaded out. So I'm just going to cut this guy right at the base inside here and get him out. Another little side shoot coming out the bottom there. Get that one out. This is a nasty one with a nice setup. Look at these 2 branches rubbing together. Definitely don't like that. But look how we got this nice leader here. It stops. We have a branch coming out away from the plant. Another branch coming away from the plant. And then you got these 2 here crisscrossed. So I'm going to abandon these 2 that are crisscrossed and this little bit of dead growth right here. And I'm just going to leave these 2 leaders on here to grow up and out. You're going to notice you stop and just look at your shrubs a lot, trying to pick which branches you cut. It's going to take you a little bit of time, but as you go through this, it's going to get thinner and it's going to be easier to work with. Like I'm seeing here, I have this branch coming out. I got nice growth coming away from the plant. And then this one here is kind of going inwards and touching this bigger one. So I'll get that one out too. Look at this guy right here. This guy comes up, goes right in the crotch area of these two branches. Now these are nice. These are growing up and out. This one's starting to angle its way back in. So I'm just going to take out this whole shoot all the way down to the ground. Albeit small, here's a good example of some inward growth. We have this main branch where everything comes out nicely. Then you got this little stub here trying to grow into the plant. Don't want that. Got a decent chop on her. She's already starting to look pretty thin now. What you can do here is, if you're trying to keep these in a nice rounded shape and you get branches like this one that kind of stick out and you don't want them in there, you can go ahead and go around and take all those off. I really don't mind mine getting bushy, so I'm not going to take too much of these off. But I got a couple of these that are hanging off a little bit that I am going to get rid of. Another thing to look for is these things get all these seed pods when they flower. You can deadhead these so you don't get these pods, but when these pods open up, you get tons of seeds that drop on the ground from these Rose of Sharon, and they end up growing up into all these new plants on the side of your main bush. So you can go through here, you can dig these out, you can chop them down. Because of the way I grow, I am not too concerned with these. These are going to get in the way of mowing my grass though, and they're going to get shaded out. They're not going to do too well in here. So I will be taking these out. And you'll notice the more you start taking out, you're going to start seeing some more stuff in the middle that you want to get rid of. And it just makes pruning so much easier. You kind of combine all these steps and work the plant as you go. These are pretty forgiving as well, so if you cut the wrong part off, it's not the end of the world. They're really fast growers. Looking pretty thin. I like it. I like my Rose of Sharon to grow pretty wild here. I like them getting really tall, like trees. So I usually don't chop anything off the top. I just let them grow vertical. But if you want these things to be shorter, I'm going to show you a way to do it. I'm going to use this branch as an example because I don't want to lose any of the height on my plant. So you see here, we have this main leader coming up. We have a split with this side branch. Goes up. We got more side branches. And this leader continues on. Now this leader is the tallest part of this branch right here. These side shoots are relatively shorter, about half the height. If I go right above these side shoots, chop this tall leader out, now I am left with a plant about half the height. And what this is going to continue to do now is grow along this and send out more shoots along here. So you can keep pruning this throughout the years and continue the process and cut off the taller leaders that form and make this thing just bush out to the side so it doesn't get too high. This was kind of an extreme example of a Rose of Sharon. I don't know how long these have been in here. I just moved in here a little less than 2 years ago. They've probably never been pruned. Same thing with this large row I got here, about a 150-foot row. These have also never been chopped down. Some of these are around 7 foot tall now. So I will be cutting these down a little bit, but not too much. These purple flowers that come off these Rose of Sharons are just loaded with pollinators. They love it. You know what else loves it? The Japanese beetles. So I'm definitely going to thin these out to give them a little less of a place to hide so the birds can find them and take care of them. And these are an absolute disaster. So these are going to take me a while to do. As long as you know how the plants grow, you can prune just about everything. So if you've got Rose of Sharon, if you don't, you should get them because they're very pretty and they attract a lot of pollinators. Go through, try this pruning method out. You don't have to be that aggressive. And if you're too aggressive, the plants aren't forgiving and you're going to be fine. Thanks for watching.